He could buy this entire city with a single phone call. But that morning, he walked into a run-down diner, ordered the cheapest thing on the menu, and nobody recognized him. When a cruel customer mocked him for being too broke for toast, the exhausted waitress did something that would change both their lives forever. What happened next will restore your faith in humanity, but only if you watch until the very end. This is a story about dignity, disguise, and the moment one act of kindness triggered a billion-dollar transformation. If you believe that people still matter more than money, stay glued to this screen. And if this story moves you, and trust me, it will, subscribe and hit that notification bell, because you'll want to share this with everyone you know. This is the true story of how a waitress won over a billionaire without knowing she already had. The penthouse smelled like nothing, not empty, not clean, just nothing. Vincent Mercer stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city he'd helped build, 43 stories between him and reality, and felt the familiar weight of absence. His phone buzzed. Another assistant, the fourth this month. "Mr. Mercer, confirming your 9 a.m. with the Singapore investors. Should I have the car?" He ended the call mid-sentence. The silence rushed back in, like water filling a hull. 62 years old, 18 billion in assets, 3 ex-wives who'd loved his portfolio more than his face, a son who called twice a year, once on his birthday, once to request funding for another revolutionary startup that would inevitably fail. Vincent walked to his closet, passing the rows of custom Italian suits, the handmade shoes, the watches worth more than most people earned in a lifetime. At the very back, in a corner he hadn't touched in years, hung an old canvas jacket, torn at the elbow, stained with paint, from a house he'd renovated himself 30 years ago, back when he still believed in things. He put it on, found old jeans, scuffed boots that had actually walked through mud once. In the mirror, he looked like what he was testing for, invisible. Across the city, Maya Torres was already 5 hours into her shift when the morning rush hit. The Bluebird Diner hadn't been blue in a decade, just gray, nicotine-stained walls and cracked vinyl booths held together by duct tape and stubbornness. The coffee was burnt, the eggs came from the cheapest supplier, the bathroom door didn't lock. But the rent was paid through the end of the month, and that's what mattered. Maya's feet screamed inside her sneakers. The left sole had split 2 weeks ago, and she'd glued it back together 3 times already. Her uniform smelled like grease no matter how many times she washed it. Her hair was pulled back so tight it gave her headaches. She was 36 and looked 45. "Order up!" Tommy shouted from the kitchen, his voice cutting through the clatter of cheap plates and cheaper conversation. Maya grabbed 2 plates, scrambled eggs, burnt toast, bacon that snapped when you touched it, and delivered them to booth 7. The businessman there didn't look up from his phone, didn't say thank you, left exact change, no tip. She pocketed the coins anyway. Every penny mattered when your daughter needed medication that insurance called non-essential. The wall clock said 8:47 a.m. 13 more minutes until Sophia's school called to confirm she'd taken her inhaler. 13 more minutes of pretending her chest wasn't tight with worry that today would be the day the principal mentioned the overdue fees again. "Coffee, black, keep it coming." Maya turned. The man in booth 3, Harold Vance, local contractor, local asshole, snapped his fingers at her like she was a dog. "Please," she said quietly, refilling his cup. "I'm not paying you to give me manners lessons, sweetheart. I'm paying you to pour." The coffee was $3. He'd been sitting there for an hour. Maya swallowed the response climbing up her throat and moved on. Dignity cost nothing, her mother used to say, which was good because nothing was all she had. Vincent pushed through the diner's door, and a bell chimed. Actually chimed. A real brass bell, not some electronic simulation. The warmth hit him first, then the smell. Coffee, grease, something burning in the back. Lives being lived in the margins. Every head turned, looked, dismissed him. Perfect. He slid into booth 5, the one with the ripped seat, the one farthest from the window. A laminated menu stuck to the table, held down by years of spilled syrup and broken dreams. Breakfast special, $3.99. 2 eggs, any style, toast, coffee. He couldn't remember the last time he'd seen a price under $5 for anything. A waitress appeared, dark hair streaked with gray she didn't have time to color, eyes that had seen too much but hadn't gone cold yet. Her name tag said Maya in hand-printed letters, the Y slightly smudged. "What can I get you?" Her voice was hoarse. Third shift before this one, Vincent guessed. Maybe fourth. 2 eggs, scrambled, black coffee. He paused. No toast. She wrote it down on a pad that was mostly used up, flipping past pages of previous orders, previous customers, previous versions of herself. "That's $2.50. You sure about no toast? It's only $1.50 more for the—" "Just the eggs." Something flickered in her eyes. Not judgment. Recognition, maybe. She'd been here before, counting pennies, making choices between food and other necessities. "Okay," she said softly, and walked away. Vincent watched her move through the diner, refilling coffee, clearing plates, dodging a hand that reached for her hip from a customer who thought his $20 bill bought him more than a meal. She sidestepped without breaking stride, a practiced dance of survival. This was why he'd come, to see people when they didn't know he could buy their mortgage, their car, their entire life with a phone call, to see if anyone still looked at other humans like they mattered. Maya brought his order. 2 eggs, runny in the middle, the way scrambled eggs always came out when Tommy was hungover, which was most mornings. Black coffee in a chipped mug. "Here you go," she said. Vincent looked up at her. Actually looked. "Thank you." She blinked. Customers didn't usually look her in the eye, didn't usually say thank you, like they meant it. "You're welcome," she said, and something in her chest loosened just slightly. Behind her, Harold Vance laughed, that braying, cruel sound that meant someone was about to hurt. "Look at this guy," Harold announced to the diner. "Too broke for toast. Brother, if you can't afford the extra $1.50, maybe you should be at the Mission, not taking up space from paying customers." The diner went quiet. Maya froze. Vincent kept his eyes on his eggs, waiting. This was the test. This was always the test. Would anyone choose kindness over comfort? What will Maya do? Will she laugh along to keep her job, or will she risk everything for a stranger who can't even afford toast? Don't miss what happens next. The silence lasted 3 seconds. 3 seconds where Maya could have laughed, could have walked away, could have done what every survival instinct screamed at her to do. Protect yourself. Keep your head down. Don't make waves in a world that's already drowning you. Instead, she turned. "Mr. Vance,
she said quietly, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "That's not necessary." Harold's face went red with pleasure. He'd found his entertainment for the morning. "Oh, I'm sorry. Are we protecting the dignity of broke wanderers now? That's sweet, Maya. Really sweet. Maybe after your chef, you two can split a can of beans in the alley." Someone snickered. The businessman in booth 7, the one who never tipped, his eyes gleaming with secondhand cruelty. Vincent watched Maya's face. She wasn't looking at Harold. She was looking at the eggs on the table, at Vincent's torn jacket, at the careful way he'd folded his hands like he was trying to take up as little space as possible. She was seeing him. "Everyone's welcome here," Maya said, louder now. "That's the point of a diner. You don't need a reservation. You don't need a membership. You need hunger and enough change to pay, and this man has both." "Change being the operative word," Harold shot back. "What'd he pay with, quarters?" "He's paying same as you, maybe more, because he's not demanding free refills and sitting here for 2 hours on a single cup." The temperature in the room dropped. Harold's face shifted from amused to dangerous. "Careful, sweetheart. You know who pays your bills." "I do," Maya said immediately. "I pay my bills, with tips from people who treat me like a human being, which you haven't done once in the 6 months you've been coming here." Vincent felt something crack open in his chest, something he thought had calcified years ago. She was risking her job, for him, for a stranger she thought couldn't afford toast. "This is ridiculous," Harold said, standing up, throwing a 20 on the table. "I'm a paying customer, and I'm being disrespected by the help. I want to see your manager." "I'm the manager on duty," Maya said, which was technically true since Tommy was too hungover to handle customers, "and I'm asking you to apologize or leave." "Apologize?" Harold laughed. "To who? To you? To Captain Poverty over there?" Vincent picked up his fork, took a bite of eggs. They were terrible, rubbery and oversalted. They were the best thing he'd tasted in years, because someone was defending him. Not his portfolio, not his last name, him, the invisible person in the torn jacket. "Mr. Vance," Maya said, and her voice had gone very quiet, very calm. "I've served you every Tuesday morning for 6 months. You've never once said please, never once said thank you. You snap your fingers at me like I'm a dog. You make comments about my body when you think I can't hear. You leave exactly 10% and act like you're being generous." She took a step closer. "This man right here, he said thank you. He looked me in the eye. He's polite and quiet, and he's not hurting anyone. So no, you don't get to mock him. Not in my diner, not on my shift." Harold's mouth worked silently. He wasn't used to being challenged, especially not by someone he saw as beneath him. "You're gonna regret this," he finally said. "I know the owner. I know the bank that holds the lease on this shithole. One phone call, and you're done." "Then make it," Maya said simply. Harold stared at her, then at Vincent, then back at her. "Crazy bitch," he muttered, and stormed out, the bell chiming angrily as the door slammed. The diner released its collective breath. Maya stood there, her hands shaking now that it was over, realizing what she'd just done. Who she'd just thrown out, the complaints he could make, the phone calls he could trigger. She looked at Vincent, expecting what? Gratitude? Embarrassment? His eyes were wet. Not crying, but close. "You didn't have to do that," he said, his voice rough. "Yeah," Maya said, suddenly exhausted. "I did." She turned to walk away, to check on her other tables, to pretend her knees weren't weak and her heart wasn't hammering. "Wait," Vincent said. She stopped. "What's your name?" "Maya. It's on my name tag." "Maya," he repeated, like he was memorizing it. "Thank you." "You already said that." "I'm saying it again." She looked at him, really looked at him, and saw something she hadn't expected. Not shame, not gratitude exactly, something bigger, something like recognition. Like he'd been searching for something and had just found it in the worst possible place. "Finish your eggs," she said softly, "before they get cold." As she walked away, Vincent sat in the rundown booth with his $2.50 breakfast and felt more human than he had in a decade. Behind the counter, Maya's phone buzzed. Sophia's school. She'd forgotten her inhaler at home. Could someone bring it? It was important. She couldn't participate in PE without it. Maya looked at the clock, looked at her tables, looked at the tips jar that held maybe $18 for 5 hours of work. The inhaler was at home. Home was 40 minutes away by bus. Her shift didn't end for 3 more hours. She closed her eyes. Sometimes dignity wasn't enough. Sometimes you needed a miracle. She didn't believe in those anymore. Maya just stood up for a stranger and might lose everything. But who is this man really? And why can't he stop staring at her like she just changed his world? The truth will shock you. Stay watching. Vincent sat with his cold eggs for another 20 minutes, watching Maya work. She was slower now, favoring her left foot. The phone call had shaken her. He'd seen her face pale, seen her grip the counter like it was the only thing keeping her upright. Every instinct screamed at him to fix it, to reveal himself, to write a check that would solve whatever problem had just knocked the wind out of her gut. But that would ruin everything. The moment she knew who he was, she'd change. Everyone changed. They'd stop seeing him and start seeing his bank account. Stop speaking truth and start saying what they thought he wanted to hear. This morning, this brief, honest morning, would evaporate like it never existed. He couldn't lose it now. Not yet. Vincent pulled out exact change, $2, 4 quarters, 10 dimes, and left it on the table. No flourish, no tip that would raise questions. Just a man with limited means paying his bill. As he stood to leave, Maya caught his eye from across the diner. "Take care," she said. 2 words, but the way she said them, like she actually meant it, like she actually cared if a stranger in a torn jacket made it through the day, nearly broke him. Vincent nodded and walked out into the November cold. His driver was waiting 3 blocks away as instructed. The Mercedes idled discreetly by an abandoned warehouse. "Mr. Mercer," James said, as Vincent slid into the back seat, "how was your excursion?" "Illuminating." "You have 6 missed calls from your attorney. The Singapore deal needs your signature by noon, and there's an emergency board meeting at 2 regarding the Henderson acquisition." Vincent looked out the window as the diner disappeared from view. "Cancel them," he said. "Sir?" "All of it. Cancel it all." James's eyes widened in the rearview mirror. "The Singapore deal is worth $300 million. If you don't sign by noon—" "I don't care." Silence. "Are you feeling unwell, sir?" Vincent laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "I haven't felt well in 20 years. Today, for 1 hour, I felt human. And now you want me to go back to being a signature machine?" "With respect, sir. You have obligations. I have nothing," Vincent said quietly. "Nothing that matters." He thought of Maya's face when she defended him, the tremor in her hands, the way she'd looked at him afterwards, not like a charity case, not like a problem to solve, but like a person who deserved basic dignity. When was the last time anyone had fought for him? Not for his money, not for his influence, but for him. He couldn't remember. "Take me home," Vincent said. "I need to think." Back at the Bluebird, Maya was failing at keeping it together. The phone call had been worse than she had thought. Sophia's teacher, Mrs. Henderson, her voice tight with that particular combination of concern and judgment that Maya had learned to dread. "Miss Torres, this is the third time this month Sophia hasn't had her inhaler. We can't be responsible if something happens. Perhaps you should reconsider your work schedule." As if she had a choice, as if feeding her daughter was optional. Maya had promised to bring the inhaler during her lunch break, which meant sacrificing lunch, which meant working.
Vincent was in his study, staring at contracts he couldn't focus on when his phone rang. His personal line, the one only 6 people had. "Yes?" "Vincent, it's Margaret." His publicist. Former publicist. He'd fired her 8 months ago. "Why are you calling me?" "Because you're about to become a news story and you're going to need damage control." His blood went cold. "What are you talking about?" "There's a clip circulating online, some diner altercation, a waitress defending a homeless man from a bully. It's going viral, 2 million views in 3 hours. People are calling her a hero, setting up GoFundMe accounts, the works." Vincent pulled up his laptop with shaking hands, found the video immediately. It was everywhere. There he was, in his torn jacket, hunched over his cheap eggs. There was Maya, standing between him and Harold, her voice clear and steady. "Everyone's welcome here." The comments were a flood. "This is what humanity looks like. Someone find this woman and give her a medal." "Who's the man she defended? Anyone know?" His chest tightened. "Vincent, you there?" How did this get out? Someone in the diner filmed it, posted it on TikTok. Now it's everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, local news picking it up. They're tracking down the waitress for interviews. And Vincent, Margaret's voice went careful, someone's going to recognize you eventually. That jacket can't hide you forever. He ended the call. Pulled up the video again. Watched Maya defend him. Watched her risk everything for a stranger. Watched his private moment of humanity become public spectacle. His phone exploded with notifications, texts from board members, emails from journalists, his attorney, his accountant, his son. Suddenly everyone wanted to talk to him. "Is that you in the diner video? Dad, what the hell were you doing dressed like that? Mr. Mercer, we need a statement before the media spins this." Vincent turned off his phone. He'd wanted authentic human connection. Instead, he'd exposed Maya to the world without her consent. She'd be hounded now, interviewed, investigated, dissected by millions of strangers. Because of him. He grabbed his keys. Maya was hiding in the diner's storage room when Tommy found her. "There are 4 reporters outside, and someone from the mayor's office called, something about a community service award." "Make it stop." "Can't. You're famous now. Angel Waitress. That's what they're calling you." Maya put her head in her hands. The video had been playing on repeat on her phone. Customers kept showing it to her, excited, like she should be thrilled her worst shift was entertainment for millions. They'd found her full name, her address, Sophia's school. Some journalist had discovered her GoFundMe from 2 years ago, the one she'd set up when Sophia was first diagnosed, the one that had raised barely $600 before she'd shut it down out of shame. Now it had been reactivated without her permission. Strangers were donating, fighting in the comments, digging into her life like she was a character in a story, not a real person trying to survive. Single mother, working 2 jobs. Medical bills for her daughter. Why isn't the government helping people like her? She didn't want to be a symbol. She didn't want to be saved by internet strangers. She wanted to be invisible again. "Maya?" Tommy's voice was gentler than usual. "There's someone here to see you. Says it's important. Tell him I'm not giving interviews." "It's not a reporter." She looked up. "Who is it?" "The guy. From this morning.
The one you defended? Maya's heart stopped. What? Yeah, he's in booth 5. Says he'll wait as long as it takes. Vincent sat in the same booth, wearing the same jacket, feeling like an imposter in his own disguise. She deserved the truth. That was why he'd come back. That and the fact that he couldn't breathe properly thinking about what he'd accidentally done to her life. Footsteps. He looked up. Maya stood there, arms crossed, eyes tired and angry and scared. You have some nerve coming back here. I know. Do you? Her voice cracked. Do you have any idea what the last 6 hours have been like? Reporters, strangers. Someone found my daughter's school, her school. They're outside taking pictures. Vincent's stomach turned. I'm sorry. Sorry? She laughed bitterly. You're sorry. Great. That fixes everything. I didn't mean for this to happen. Then what did you mean to happen? Why were you dressed like that? Why were you testing people? Because that's what you were doing, right? Some kind of social experiment? He couldn't lie to her. Yes. Jesus! She sat down across from him, not because she wanted to, but because her legs gave out. Why? Because I wanted to know if anyone would see me as human. See you as human. You were pretending to be poor. There's a difference between pretending and living it. I know. No, you don't. Her voice shook. You don't know what it's like to actually be desperate, to actually have your daughter's medication depend on whether some asshole tips you 5% or 10%. You were playing dress up with my reality. Every word landed like a punch. She was right. I'm sorry, Vincent said again helplessly. Stop saying that! They sat in silence. The diner had cleared out. Tommy had locked the door, put up a closed for private event sign to keep the reporters out. Why are you here? Because you saw me, really saw me. And I want, his voice broke, I want to know who you are, not the viral video, not the angel waitress, you. Maya's eyes filled with tears. You can't afford me. What? You can't afford what it costs to know me. Because knowing me means seeing my daughter struggle to breathe, means watching me choose between medication and rent, means living in the reality you were just playing tourist in. And billionaires don't do that. They write checks and feel better and move on. I'm not moving on. You will, she said softly. They always do. She's right to be angry. But is she right about him? Can a billionaire and a waitress ever really see each other? The answer will surprise you. Don't click away.
One day, Vincent said. Maya wiped her eyes roughly. What? Give me one day. Let me prove I'm not like everyone else you've met. Why would I do that? Because you believed in me this morning when I was nobody. Let me return the favor. I don't need favors from billionaires. Not a favor, a friendship, maybe. Maya laughed, but it was softer this time. Friendship, right, where the billionaire plays poor and I play grateful. Sounds healthy. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Vincent sat back down, suddenly exhausted. I don't know. I just know that this morning, for 1 hour, I felt like a human being. Because of you. And I want... He struggled for words. I want to know what that's like for more than an hour. Maya studied him, really looked at him. The expensive watch he'd forgotten to take off, the haircut that cost more than her rent, the hands that had never done manual labor, but also the loneliness in his eyes, the way he hunched his shoulders like he was trying to disappear, the desperate hope in his voice. She should say no. She should walk away. This was a disaster waiting to happen. One day, she heard herself say, but not your day, my day. What does that mean? It means if you want to know me, you have to know my life. The real one. No drivers, no assistants, no safety net. Vincent nodded slowly. Okay. Tomorrow's Sunday, my only day off. I have to take Sophia to the park. She needs to run around before Monday or she'll be bouncing off walls all week. Then grocery shopping with coupons. Then laundry at the laundromat because my machine's broken. Then meal prep for the week because I can't afford to eat out. I'll be there. At 6 a.m., that's when we start. He didn't flinch. Where should I meet you? Maya wrote her address on a napkin. And, Mercer, wear different clothes. You show up in a $1,000 jacket, and my neighbors will think I'm getting evicted. I'll dress appropriately. Good. She stood to leave, then paused. Why are you really doing this? Vincent met her eyes. Because everyone in my life wants something from me. You're the first person in 20 years who wanted nothing except for me to be treated with basic human dignity. I need to understand that. I need to understand you. I'm not that complicated. I think you are. I think you're extraordinary and don't even know it. Maya's breath caught. Don't. What? Don't romanticize poverty. Don't make my struggle beautiful. It's not. It's ugly and exhausting and soul-crushing. If you're coming tomorrow, you need to see that. Really see it. I will. She left without saying goodbye. Sunday morning arrived cold and gray. Vincent stood outside Maya's apartment building at 5:53 a.m., wearing old jeans and a plain sweatshirt, feeling more nervous than he had before any board meeting. The building was 4 stories of peeling paint and broken intercoms. A group of men sat on the stoop, drinking from paper bags, eyeing him with open suspicion. You lost? One of them asked. No, I'm here to see Maya Torres. Maya? The man's expression shifted. You that billionaire from the video? Yes. Huh. The man stood, walked right up to Vincent, looked him up and down. She know you're coming? Yes. Good. Because she's got a kid, and if you're here to mess with her, I'm not. The man studied him for another long moment, then nodded. Apartment 3B. Elevators broken. Vincent climbed 3 flights of stairs that smelled like mildew and old cooking oil. Knocked on 3B. Maya opened the door in sweatpants and a faded NYU shirt. Scholarship student, Vincent guessed. Dreams interrupted by reality. You actually came, he said. I said I would. Behind her, a small voice. Mama, who's that? A little girl appeared, 7, maybe 8, dark eyes like her mother's, holding an inhaler like it was a teddy bear. Sophia, this is Mr. Mercer. He's helping us today. Helping with what? Sophia asked, curious but not shy. With park and errands, Maya said. Go get your shoes on. Sophia disappeared into the apartment's interior. Vincent glimpsed a living room that was immaculate despite the worn furniture, children's drawings taped to walls that needed painting, a kitchen table that doubled as desk and dining room. She doesn't know who you are, Maya said quietly. I'd like to keep it that way. Of course. And if she has an asthma attack, you don't panic. You hand me her inhaler and you stay calm. Can you do that? Yes. Maya grabbed a backpack, packed with precision of someone who'd learned the hard way to prepare for every contingency. Water bottles, snacks and plastic bags, extra inhaler, wet wipes, Band-Aids. Ready, Sophia announced, appearing in light-up sneakers that were half a size too small. They walked to the park, 23 blocks, because the bus didn't run until 7 on Sundays. Sophia chattered the entire way, telling Vincent about her school, her teacher, her best friend Marcus, who could draw dinosaurs really well. Maya walked slightly ahead, protective, watching her daughter with an intensity that made Vincent's chest ache. The park was mostly empty. Sophia ran to the swings immediately. Push me high! Vincent looked at Maya, uncertain. Go ahead, she said, but just not too high, her lungs. He pushed Sophia gently and she squealed with delight,
Higher. That's high enough, baby, Maya called from the bench. But Mama. Sophia. The girl sighed dramatically but didn't argue. She knew the rules, had learned them young. After the swings, they played on the jungle gym. Sophia climbed. Vincent spotted. Maya watched with one hand on her inhaler, ready for action. And then it happened. Sophia was laughing, hanging upside down from the monkey bars, when her breath suddenly went wrong. That distinctive wheeze, the panic in her eyes. Mama. Maya was already moving. Had Sophia down, sitting, inhaler in her hand. Breathe with me, baby. Slow. That's it. Good. 2 puffs. Wait. Breathe. Sophia's color returned. The wheeze eased. I'm okay, she said, embarrassed now. I'm okay. I know you are, Maya said, kissing her forehead. But we're done with the monkey bars today. How about we go feed the ducks? Sophia nodded, subdued. As they walked to the pond, Sophia's small hand slipped into Vincent's. Don't be scared, she said seriously. It happens a lot. Mama knows what to do. Vincent looked down at this tiny person comforting him, and something inside him shattered completely. You're very brave, he managed. I have to be, Sophia said matter-of-factly. Mama works hard. I can't make her worry more. 8 years old, and she was already carrying the weight of her mother's sacrifice. The grocery store was an education in mathematics Vincent had never learned. Maya moved through aisles with military precision, checking prices, calculating per-unit costs in her head, comparing brands. Store-brand pasta is 49 cents cheaper, but it falls apart when you cook it, so you waste more. Generic cereal is fine. Never buy pre-cut vegetables. You're paying for convenience you can't afford. Why don't we get that? Sophia asked, pointing to a display of fresh strawberries. Not this week, baby. But they're your favorite. I know. Maybe next week. They both knew there wouldn't be strawberries next week either. At checkout, Maya counted out bills and coins while the cashier sighed impatiently. The total was $47.84. She had $47.94. 11 cents to spare. Outside, juggling 4 plastic bags because they couldn't afford the reusable ones, Maya finally looked at Vincent. Still think poverty is romantic? No, he said quietly. I think it's violence. What? What I just witnessed, having to choose between strawberries and your daughter's medication, that's not hardship. That's structural violence. And I've been part of the system causing it my entire career. Maya stopped walking. Don't do that. Do what? Have your redemption moment on my suffering. I don't exist to teach billionaires lessons about capitalism. That's not what I... Yes, it is. But its voice was softer now, tired. Everyone wants to learn from poverty. Nobody wants to actually end it. They walked the rest of the way in silence. The laundromat was full. Sunday afternoon rush. Everyone washing the week off themselves. Vincent helped Maya load machines, feed quarters, move wet clothes to dryers. His back started to ache. His feet hurt. He'd been up since 5 a.m. and it was only 2 in the afternoon. Maya sat beside him, waiting for the dryers to finish, and pulled out a thermos of coffee she'd made at home. Want some? She offered. He took it. The coffee was terrible. Cheap grounds, reused filter. It was the best coffee he had ever tasted. I'm sorry, he said. About earlier. You're right.
3 days. That's how long Vincent lasted before he broke. 3 days of sitting in his penthouse, staring at his phone, fighting every instinct to call her, text her, show up at the diner. 3 days of his attorney calling with increasingly desperate updates about the company, his son threatening legal action, his ex-wife spreading rumors to gossip columns. 3 days of realizing Maya was right. He couldn't have both worlds. Maya made it 4 days before she cracked. 4 days of going through motions, serving coffee, forcing smiles, coming home to Sophia's questions about where Vincent was, why he didn't visit anymore,
Had she done something wrong? "No, baby," Maya had said, holding her daughter tight. "You didn't do anything wrong." "But I did," she thought. "I fell for someone impossible. I let myself hope." On the 5th day, a letter arrived. Not an email, not a text. An actual letter delivered by hand to the diner. Tommy brought it to her during her break. "Some courier dropped this off. Fancy!" Maya's hands trembled as she opened it. "Maya, I've spent 3 days trying to figure out what to say, how to make you believe that what I feel is real, that you're not an idea or a fantasy or a midlife crisis. But words are inadequate. I've made my entire fortune with words, contracts, negotiations, promises that meant nothing beyond their legal implications. So instead of words, I'm making a choice. Tomorrow morning, I'm holding a press conference. I'm going to announce that I'm stepping down as CEO of Mercer Industries. I'm restructuring the company, redistributing ownership to employees, establishing a foundation dedicated to economic justice, specifically addressing medical debt and affordable housing. I'm liquidating most of my personal assets. I'll keep enough to live comfortably, but not obscenely. I don't need billions. I never did. And I'm doing this whether or not you ever speak to me again. Because you were right. I can't have both worlds. I can't run an empire built on exploitation while claiming to care about people like you. I can't hoard wealth while watching you count pennies for groceries. I can't be the man I want to be, the man you made me remember I could be while living the life I've been living. So, I'm choosing. Not for you, for me. But God, Maya, I hope you're there tomorrow. I hope you see that this is real, that you're real, that what we have, whatever we have, is worth burning my old life down for. The press conference is at 10 a.m. at Mercer Tower. If you come, I'll know there's a chance. If you don't, I'll understand. Either way, thank you for defending a stranger, for showing me what integrity looks like, for breaking my heart in the most necessary way. Yours, Vincent. Maya read the letter 3 times. Then she laughed. Then she cried. Then she crumpled it up and threw it across the break room. "He's insane," she said to the empty room. She smoothed out the letter. Read it again. He was giving away billions, restructuring his entire life for what? Principles? Her? It was romantic. It was insane. It was the grandest gesture she could imagine. It was also exactly what Diane had warned her about. They make grand gestures. They promise the world. But what happened after the gesture? After the press conference? After the novelty of poverty cosplay wore off? Would he resent her? Blame her for what he'd given up? Would she become another ex-wife? Another story about the woman who ruined Vincent Mercer? Maya put her head in her hands. She wanted to believe in fairy tales, wanted to believe that love conquered class divides and economic reality and the vast gap between their worlds. But she was 36 years old, and she'd stopped believing in fairy tales around the same time she'd learned that hard work didn't guarantee survival. Vincent stood in his walk-in closet at 6 a.m., staring at the suits he'd worn to build an empire. In 12 hours, he'd announced he was dismantling it. His attorney had quit. His son wasn't speaking to him. The board had already scheduled an emergency meeting to discuss his mental competence. Let them. He pulled on jeans and a simple shirt. No more costumes. No more pretending to be poor. Just simple. His phone rang. Unknown number. Yes? "Mr. Mercer?" A young woman's voice. "This is Sophia Torres, Maya's daughter." "Sophia? Is everything okay? Is Mom okay?"
Mama's okay, but she's sad. She's been crying, and she thinks I don't know, but I do. Sophia, are you going to fix it? I'm trying. Good, because Mama deserves to be happy, and you made her happy, I could tell. Vincent's throat closed. She makes me happy too. Then why are you apart? It's complicated, sweetheart. Grown-ups always say that, but it's not complicated. You like each other, so be together. If only it were so simple. Sophia, how did you get this number? Mama has it written down for emergencies. This is an emergency. Is your mom okay? She's sleeping. She worked all night. Does she know you're calling? No, but someone had to. You're both being stupid. Despite everything, Vincent smiled. You're right. I know. So, fix it. She paused. Please? I'll try my best. That's what Mama always says, and she always does what she promises. After Sophia hung up, Vincent sat with his phone, this 8-year-old's faith in him both humbling and terrifying. Fix it. If only he knew how. 9:45 a.m. Maya stood outside Mercer Tower, jostled by reporters and cameras and curious onlookers. She'd called in sick to work, dropped Sophia at school, taken 2 buses to get here. She still didn't know if she was making a mistake. The lobby was packed, security everywhere. She didn't belong here, in her worn coat and second-hand shoes, surrounded by people in designer everything. Excuse me? A hand on her arm. Maya turned. Diane Mercer, of course. I'm surprised to see you here, Diane said coldly. I'm surprised to be here. Come to watch the show? See what your influence has wrought? I didn't influence anything. Didn't you? Diane's eyes were sharp. He's throwing away everything. For what? For you? No, Maya said quietly. For himself. And she realized it, saying it, that it was true. Vincent wasn't doing this for her. He was doing it because meeting her had shown him who he'd become, and he didn't like it. She was the catalyst, not the cause. He'll regret it, Diane said, and when he does, he'll blame you. Maybe, Maya met her eyes, but that's between me and him, not you. A security guard approached. Ma'am, are you Maya Torres? Maya's stomach clenched. Yes? Mr. Mercer requested you be brought to the front row. If you'll follow me. Diane's face went white with fury. Maya followed the guard through the crowd, her heart hammering, still not sure if she was about to witness a beginning or an ending. The press conference is about to start. Vincent is about to change everything. But will Maya stay? Will she choose him? The next few minutes will determine everything.
The conference room fell silent as Vincent walked to the podium. He looked different, Maya thought, not diminished by the simple clothing, amplified, like he'd finally grown into his actual size instead of trying to fill the space his money created. Thank you for coming, Vincent began, his voice steady. I'm going to make this brief. Reporters leaned forward, cameras focused. The financial world held its breath. Effective immediately, I'm stepping down as CEO of Mercer Industries. Gasps, murmurs, the clicking of keys as journalists raced to break the news. My decision isn't due to health issues or scandal. It's due to a very simple realization. I've spent 40 years building wealth, and in that time I've forgotten to build a life. Vincent's eyes found Maya in the crowd. She couldn't breathe. 2 weeks ago, I walked into a diner dressed as someone I thought was invisible. I wanted to test humanity. to see if anyone would treat me with basic dignity when I appeared to have nothing. The video. Everyone knew the video. A waitress named Maya Torres passed that test, but I failed mine. Silence. See, I thought I was clever, thought I was conducting some kind of social experiment, but what I was actually doing was appropriating poverty for my own emotional education. I was using other people's real struggle as my personal classroom. He gripped the podium. Maya called me on it. She told me that I couldn't play tourist in her reality and then retreat to my penthouse. She was right. "Mr. Mercer," a reporter tried to interject. Vincent held up his hand. "Please, let me finish." He took a breath. "I've made my fortune through real estate development. I've purchased properties, renovated them, sold them for massive profit. Legal? Yes. Ethical? That's debatable. Because every property I've purchased at below market rates, that was someone's home. Every development I've built, that displaced communities that had been there for generations." Maya's chest tightened. He was confessing, publicly, irrevocably. "I'm not saying I'm a villain, but I'm not a hero either. I'm a man who benefited from a system designed to concentrate wealth at the top, and I convinced myself I deserved it. What I'm announcing today is a complete restructuring of Mercer Industries. 40% of company ownership will be transferred to an employee trust. Another 30% will go to a newly established foundation dedicated to affordable housing, medical debt forgiveness, and educational access." The room erupted. "That leaves me with 30%, which I'll retain to maintain voting control during the transition, but my days of personal wealth accumulation are over." "Mr. Mercer, what about your family, your son?" "My son will inherit enough to live very comfortably, but he won't inherit an empire, because empires are built on inequality, and I'm done contributing to that." Another reporter. "Is this about the waitress, about Maya Torres?" Vincent paused. "It's about me, about who I want to be for the rest of my life. But yes, Maya was the catalyst. She showed me what actual courage looks like, what integrity looks like when it costs you something. She turned down a large sum of money to avoid being in this situation, to avoid being associated with me and my choices, because she knew people would assume she was manipulating me, gold-digging, taking advantage." Maya felt tears streaming down her face. "But the truth is the opposite. I'm the one who benefited from knowing her. I'm the one whose life has been immeasurably enriched. And if she'll let me, if she can forgive me for my privilege, my arrogance, my foolishness, I'd like to spend the rest of my life trying to deserve her." The room went insane. Reporters shouting, cameras flashing, security trying to maintain order. Vincent stepped away from the podium, ignoring the chaos, and walked straight to Maya. "Hi," he said. "Hi," she managed. "That was probably too much, wasn't it? Too grand, too—" She kissed him, right there, in front of hundreds of cameras, in front of his ex-wife and his attorney and the entire financial press. She kissed him. When they broke apart, she said, "You're still an idiot. I know. You can't solve economic inequality by giving away your fortune. I know. And just because you're doing this doesn't mean we're going to work. We still have so much to figure out. So many complications. I know. But Vincent, yeah? I'm in love with you too." His smile could have powered the entire city. 6 months later. The Bluebird Diner had a new owner, Maya Torres. Vincent had insisted, used some of his retained wealth to purchase the building, transfer ownership, renovate without gentrification. New equipment, better wages for staff, but the same vinyl booths, the same terrible coffee that loyal customers loved. Booth 5 still belonged to Vincent. He came every morning, ordered 2 eggs and black coffee, and worked on his laptop, consulting for the foundation,
learning about nonprofit management, trying to be useful. Sometimes Sophia did her homework there, after school, and Vincent helped with math while Maya worked the counter. They still fought about money. He wanted to pay for things. She insisted on independence. About the future. She worried he'd regret his choices. He worried she still saw him as a billionaire playing pretend. But they fought with honesty, with respect, with love. One Tuesday morning, Harold Vance walked through the door. He stopped when he saw Vincent in booth 5, saw Maya behind the counter. "I heard you owned this place now," Harold said to Maya. "I do. And you're still working here, running it?" "Yes." He shook his head. "Could have just married him and lived easy." Maya smiled. "I don't do easy." Harold ordered coffee, left a proper tip, didn't make any cruel comments. It wasn't redemption, but it was something. Late that night, after closing, Vincent helped Maya count the register while Sophia slept in the back booth. "You're quiet," he said. "Just thinking." About how 6 months ago I was terrified every minute of losing the apartment, of Sophia's health, of everything falling apart. And now? Now I'm still scared sometimes, but not alone. Vincent pulled her close. Never alone. Promise? Promise. Through the diner window, the city lights sparkled like possibilities, like futures that hadn't been written yet, like proof that sometimes, rarely, unexpectedly, miraculously, people saw each other across impossible divides. And that seeing, that recognition, that simple act of human dignity, it changed everything. A year later, Maya finished her master's degree in social work. Vincent attended her graduation, cheering louder than anyone when she walked across the stage. Sophia recorded everything on her phone, already planning to show her friends how cool her mom was. The foundation had forgiven $14 million in medical debt in its first year, purchased and preserved 3 affordable housing complexes, established a scholarship fund for single parents returning to school. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. But it was something. And Vincent had learned that something mattered more than everything. 5 years later, on a random Tuesday morning, a young man walked into the Bluebird Diner wearing clothes that had seen better days. He ordered 2 eggs, scrambled, and black coffee, no toast. Maya served him, saw him, really saw him, and said, "You okay?" He looked up, startled that anyone had asked. "Yeah," he said, "just rough week." "I get it." She refilled his coffee without being asked. "This one's on the house." After he left, Vincent watched her from booth 5. "You're still doing it," he said. "Doing what?" "Seeing people." Maya smiled. "Someone has to." He stood, crossed to her, kissed her softly. "I love you," he said. "I know." She kissed him back. "Now sit down. You're in the way of paying customers." "Yes, ma'am." He returned to booth 5, their booth, where it all began, where a billionaire had ordered the cheapest meal, where a waitress had chosen kindness over comfort. And in that booth, in that diner, in that moment, Vincent Mercer counted himself the richest man alive. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness creates the biggest change. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to believe in human connection today. Because we all deserve to be seen. We all deserve dignity. We all deserve love, no matter what's in our bank account. Thank you for staying through to the end. Please like and share this video and click the subscribe button for the next story.